So I was looking at trailers for new games coming up, and I came across Battlefield 5. But then I thought about my Battlefield 3 video that I posted last week, and I thought to myself, Matt, Battlefield 3 is 7 years old. Why are you still playing this? Can you please get up to speed with Battlefield 5? And I thought to myself, you know what, Matt? That's a good idea. I think I'll make a video about it. And so here I am, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on why I liked Battlefield 3 and 4, and why I wasn't so much of a fan of Battlefield 1, and how that's kind of giving me a opinion already on Battlefield 5. I started playing the Battlefield franchise, which has quickly become one of my favorite franchises, starting with Battlefield 3. And the things I loved about that game were the graphics, the details. They at the time they were revolutionary, and with destruction, it was a really immersive game. That's one of the things I love about the series, is that it's just it feels like a very immersive FPS game. But I also enjoyed the customization options on weapons, like switching out attachment parts, and I love the statistics, and I love the dog tags. So I was always trying to grind out some kills on a weapon so I could put it in like my top 10 or something silly like that. Or I would spend an entire game hunting somebody down to get their dog tags because they happen to have a rare tag. I mean, those are the things that I loved about Battlefield 3. Battlefield 4 was kind of the same, but it didn't really appeal to me as much. I didn't like the way that the gunplay felt. It felt softer. It's hard to explain, but when my hands were on the game and I was playing it, it didn't really feel the right way for me. So I just wasn't a fan of that. And the things that I loved about Battlefield 3, like the statistics, I guess they were still there, but the dog tags, if you compare them, one looks like somebody's great work of art, another looks like a preschooler's pencil drawing. I wasn't really a fan of that either. So then we come to Battlefield 1, and Battlefield 1 was okay. The gunplay felt decent, but in the end, I really just wasn't a fan of the historic shooter. I was a fan of modern shooters, which that's probably just a personal preference on my part, but I just wasn't a big fan. I didn't really get into it that much. So I enjoyed most of the mechanics. The fact that Battlefield 1 had kind of that swoop down spawn system, I thought that was really cool because that kind of adds to the immersion. And overall, I liked the quality of the game, but just didn't really get into the historic part of it. So now we come to Battlefield 5, and I'm kind of looking at it the same way that I viewed 1, where I was like, well, it's another historic shooter, but here's some of my thoughts going in. The first thing that I'm excited for is it's a new release, so it's going to have new graphics, new netcode, so I mean, of course, everybody's going to be excited about that. Another part is the building. So this is the first Battlefield game that they've introduced the ability to build barriers and add barricades, which I think is a really cool aspect, and I think it'll be a lot of fun either doing it on your own or working with teammates to kind of change the way that the control points and other parts of the battlefield look. And it's not overly excessive building like Fortnite, which I have a severe dislike for, but I'll explain that at another time. And then another part of it is that it's another part of history, which comes with, I think, some responsibility. When you portray history in a certain way, you as the creator, I think, have the responsibility to portray it as clearly as possible, or as neutral as possible. You could change the way that people perceive the war from a historical perspective because of the way that you portray it in the game. Like their first trailer. When I saw the first trailer for Battlefield, I saw the war paint and like the colors, and I was like, oh my gosh, they've crossed Battlefield 1 with Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn is a great game, don't get me wrong, but to make my point, it looked so cartoony and like action figure-esque, and it didn't really, to me, it didn't really portray the historical pictures or like the historical accounts that we read of that really made up World War II. Now, I think now they've done a great job, and it looks a lot more progressed and a lot less cartoonish in that sense. But that's the kind of risk that you take when you take on historical title. I have no doubt that DICE has done an excellent job, and I can't wait to get my hands on it because I think I'm definitely going to try it. And maybe for me, for my personal preferences, I might just be more of a modern day FPS person, a modern times first-person shooter. But for this game, I'll give it a shot. And I hope that at some point I'll be able to give you some of that gameplay and give you some of my thoughts. But for now, before the release comes, I just want to share those thoughts and maybe explain why I keep releasing some Battlefield 3 stuff. But for now, that's all I have for you guys. And take it easy, have some fun at Battlefield 5, and I will catch you guys soon.